Steven Mnuchin, himself former Treasury Secretary during the Trump years. Steven, thank you for this. So let's start with the vision thing. Low taxes, going after spending, maybe more than any of us thought a while back. Deregulation, of course, energy. We'll get to this so-called smart tariff thing in a moment. Was the vision thing there? Was the growth promise there? Was it an optimistic, uplifting chief? Did he get it done, in your judgment?
Larry, I think he did get it done. And quite frankly, it reminds me of you and I being there with him in 2016.
Yes.
And at the New York Economic Club, he gave a speech on what Trump 1.0 would look like. Mm-hmm. And it was tax cuts, regulatory relief, trade renegotiation, and energy. And he delivered on that in the first term. And I think what you heard today is there's still more work to do, that his economic plan is very different than hers. And I think that more tax cuts, extending the Trump tax cuts that are expiring. Obviously, on regulation, we got a lot more work to do. On trade, I think there's no question that the tariffs on China brought China to the table. The only reason we got renegotiation, more work to be doing there. The Reciprocal Trade Act that you and I worked on. And energy, I think kind of there's a great energy opportunity. We were energy abundant. We were putting sanctions on Iran so that they didn't have money. They weren't selling oil. We were putting sanctions on Russia. And again, I think he can repeat a lot of this where there's more work to be done.
You know, there's no question. If you go back, when we originally talked, you're talking about 2016, even 2015, some of the first meetings we had, we wanted lower income tax rates. We actually wanted a lower corporate tax rate. You did the best you could with Congress and so forth and got a pretty effective bill that really launched the economy and middle income wages. He's kind of returning to those very same themes. He's saying basically, look, particularly if you produce in America, we'll give you a 15% rate. He wants the 100% expensing, which was hugely important. He didn't go through the individual tax rates, but that's part of the package of extending the Trump tax cuts. I mean, I've been saying to him, to you, to anybody who would listen, make it growthier, make it growth. People want growth. Let's break through on growth. Let's break through on wages. I think he got that done today.
I think he did. And Larry, as you know, kind of we lowered corporate taxes and corporate revenues to the government went way up.
Yes.
So it worked. And everybody's saying, oh, we gave corporations all these things. No, they paid more in taxes. Mm-hmm. Expensing worked. It got more investment into the U.S. And I think, as you know, we wanted to do more on the individual side. We wanted to make that permanent. We wanted to make the small business tax credit permanent, and those all need to be extended. But prior to COVID, we were on track to generate significant excess revenues to begin to pay down the deficit. And obviously, COVID changed things, and there we had to do spending, or we would have had a worldwide depression, not recession. But the ongoing spending of the Biden administration is what created all of this inflation.
You know, that's important. I don't want to let that point slip by. You were our team leader. During the pandemic, we went up to the Hill, practically lived up there. And basically, the thought here was private income's drying up because of the pandemic. It just shut down. So we needed temporary government income to take its place. But then that was supposed to shut down, and it didn't. And I think what Trump was saying here today, and he's fingered Kamala before, and he's right to do so, they wanted the government income to continue and continue and continue. And so too much money, we're chasing too few goods, hence the massive inflation problem. I mean, we were going to end that. You were going to end that. That was your premise. They never ended it. And Biden's, if she's elected, I mean, her speech on the economy, 2 Fridays ago, another $2 trillion on top of the tax hikes.
Well, again, Larry, you remember I shut down a bunch of the Fed lending programs.
Yes.
Because the emergency was over. And the money that Congress gave us, we gave it back because we didn't need it. And they went then on and passed multiple bills of trillions and trillions of dollars that led to inflation. And there's just no question the Fed was late in seeing this. They were too late in raising interest rates. And now they've been too slow in lowering interest rates.
You know, I'm surprised that didn't come up today. But you think they should be dropping their target rate, and they will be dropping.
I think we're gonna see 3.5% funds rates or 3% funds rates as the natural rate. I don't think we're going to go down to 1 or 2%. And I think the 10-year has already priced that into the market. So
whoever's president, that's what the Fed's going to do. There's going to be multiple rate cuts.
Yeah, the Fed has to reduce rates. They're just way too high.
Well, I think that's their intention. I think you're right about that. Steven Mnuchin, smart tariffs, you heard him today. He probably went a little further than people might have thought, although some of it was ambiguous. I'm not sure that all the things have been filled in. He believes in reciprocity. So do you. So do I. He's tougher on trade, though. How do you read this smart tariff business?
Larry, I was sitting next to Ambassador Lighthizer at lunch, and
who was cheering?
You know, the team was you and me and Bob, okay, working very closely with the president,
yes.
and it worked. President Trump was the first president to basically say, what we're doing isn't working. Kind of, we open up to China, they close to us. And there's no question. I remember the first time we went over to China and sat down in a big negotiation, we weren't getting anywhere.
Right.
We came back, the president said, call them up, tell them we're going to put on big tariffs. And he's right. Now, all of a sudden, they negotiated. And Ambassador Lighthizer, you know, I loved his strategy. He basically said, we're going to start with tariffs on things that are critical technology, so that's in the U.S. We then went on to use more tariffs to get him to the negotiating table. We eventually got the phase 1 trade deal done. There's still a lot more work to do. So I agree with President Trump. We need more tariffs to get them back to the table. Ripped up NAFTA, put in place USMCA, great trade agreement that Bob got through a bipartisan Congress. And, you know, I think you and I loved the Reciprocal Trade Act. We never got it passed, but the idea...
Which he now calls the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act.
No, it was the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act.
I thought it was Sean's.
No. It was the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act. But what it was, and it was a very simple thing. You put tariffs on us, we're going to put tariffs on you.
That's right.
And, you know, there are issues with Europe. They're not open with us. There's issues with others, and you know, he's using tariffs to renegotiate and make for free and fair trade.
And he's a consummate negotiator, isn't he?
Absolutely.
Consummate negotiator. I mean, in some sense, you know what? I'm sitting there listening to this speech thinking to myself, he's negotiating right now. He's starting his negotiations right now. I don't know if he's going to win. I think he's going to win. I think his polls are, I think his polls are the best polls he's ever had at this stage of the game. He's already negotiating. That's the way I read this.
Well, I think he gave a great vision for what Trump 2.0 economics looks like. And there's a big difference between what a Kamala administration and what his administration.
Yes.
I mean, we're talking about tax hikes versus tax cuts. We're talking about supporting small business. And as you and I know, this thought of taxing unrealized capital gains, I mean, the whole basis of our tax system has been forever that you pay taxes on realized events. And there's no better way to shut down the economy than to start telling people you're going to tax on unrealized gains.
I could talk to you forever. I got to get out. Producers are screaming at me. Steven Mnuchin, former Treasury Secretary, now investor. Thank you ever so much.